On today's show, the Hawks bounce back in a big way after a brutal loss on Tuesday and get a massive win over the Cavs on this Friday evening. We'll get into all of what transpired, how the Hawks pulled it out late, and much more. And it's all coming up right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2112 of the Locked On Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Friday evening here at the end of November. And today's podcast is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, if you're a new customer at FanDuel, you bet only $5. You get your first bet wins. You get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. And I'll be diving in today to what became a very nice win for the Hawks, 130-123 at the hands of the Cavs on this Friday in an NBA Cup game. It was not meaningful for the Hawks in that standpoint, but it was for the Cavs. And the Hawks played spoiler in this one. Please forgive me if you are watching on YouTube. I am playing a road game. The Hawks were at home, but it's because of Thanksgiving. I am on the road myself, so hopefully this is a dialed-in podcast on a Friday night, but plenty to get to, and really it's all positive, and it's also a good reminder of life in the NBA. If you missed it, the most recent episode of this podcast was breaking down what became a brutal, ugly loss for the Hawks on Tuesday in Washington, D.C., where they were favored in that game by more points than they had been all season long, and they totally laid an egg against the Wizards. Then 72 hours later, in their next game after the holiday, they get an excellent victory in which they were the second biggest underdog they had been all year tonight against the Cavs because of the situation, the opponent, and all of that. No Porzingis, no Trey Young for the Hawks. The Cavs had all of their top five guys healthy in this game. And after the injury reports came out and were finalized on Friday evening, the Hawks were 7-point underdogs at home in this game, according to our friends at FanDuel. And only the game against the Thunder early in the season was a bigger lift through the projections for the Hawks. But in this one, they led early, they led often, and it was never comfortable. This was a close game late after a back and forth first half, to say the least. The Hawks were down by 1 point within the final 4 minutes of this game, and it was actually tied with 90 seconds to go before a couple of huge shots. For me, the biggest shot of the game was a Zaccharie Risacher 3 with about 1:20 to go to give the Hawks the lead that they would never give back, and a fun one to be sure. So a lot to get into on this game, but certainly the big picture is a heck of a bounce back. It is a reminder, again, of what I said before about the life in the NBA aspect, about never getting too high or too low, because, yeah, Tuesday was brutal for the Hawks, and I expressed that as much as I could on this podcast, but then to come back and kind of, I would say, pretty much erase it. Like, if you were to simulate the game on Tuesday and the game on Friday by the point spread or whatever, it's basically the Hawks are going to go 1-1 most of the time. They took a weird way to 1-1, but they did it in a pretty impressive fashion in this one. So I want to lead with the offense in this game. Putting up 130 against the Cavs is pretty impressive. The Cavs are not an elite defense, but certainly a competent NBA defense with all of their guys available up front. And the Hawks were able to jam the ball down their throats and on the fast break through a large portion of this game. For some context, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Hawks went in Cleveland and lost and had their second worst offensive game of the season in that game. They scored about 102 points per 100 possessions in that game. They had 23 turnovers. It was pretty rough. That was there on the road. It was an ugly game. Tonight, they put up about a 120 offensive rating and ran on 27% of possessions. That's a 99th percentile number in terms of how often they were running in this game. And that is twofold. Number one, it's a commitment to do so, to try to play fast. And the Hawks were very good at doing that. It also means you have to get some stops and also ideally some turnovers to help fuel that. And the Hawks did all of that stuff in this game. But the headline number of the night by far was the Hawks had 36 fast break points in this game. That is their season high. It's the second most they've had in a game in the last 2 decades, and the most they've had since 2012. That's a ton of fast break points. And again, you're not playing the Kings. Like, for example, the Hawks season high before today was 33 against the Kings. The Kings are, with due respect, pretty bad, particularly on defense. The Cavs are not that. To do this against a real team, and a real opponent that had stakes, they were playing their guys. That's impressive stuff for the Hawks to execute, but also just the relentless pursuit of running and running and running some more. And look, it covers up. The Hawks are pretty limited in the half court right now. That's the reality. It has been for a while without Trey Young and all of that, even without Porzingis too in this game as well. But the Hawks, I think, knew that and have known that, and they want to play a certain way, and they definitely executed that to the highest level in this one. It definitely helped that Jalen Johnson was tremendous individually in this game with 29, 12, and 12. Jalen has been dynamic on offense. He was brutal on Tuesday. He was kind of the one-man encapsulation of the difference between Tuesday and tonight. He was awful on Tuesday, probably his worst game of the season. And tonight he was absolutely dominant for large portions of this game. But the Hawks, as I said before, just turning the ball over, winning that battle back and forth is huge. They had 3 turnovers in the first 3 minutes when they were kind of getting down early on in this one. And from that point forward, they only had 11 the rest of the game. 14 for the whole game is totally fine against this defense. And they won that battle. And they also only had a couple of, I would say, only a couple of really bad ones. And that kind of helped to limit the damage defensively as well. And beyond the fast break points, and a lot of these were fast break points, they were 32 of 46 on twos. That's 67% or so. That's an excellent number. They shot fairly well from 3, like not crazy, 37%, but on good volume. They created a bunch of shots. Nickeil Alexander-Walker got up 13 threes by himself in this game, which is obviously a huge, huge positive. They did miss some free throws along the way that were kind of frustrating and didn't have a lot on the glass, but everything else offensively was really strong. The ball security helped, and the transition stuff certainly fortified everything for Atlanta. I mentioned Jalen before. Alexander Walker had 28 points in this game as well. He has been absolutely huge for the Hawks this year, in particular without Trey, but even before that, just been awesome. They had 7 guys in double figures, good balance along the way. No one offensively was like limited, other than maybe Luke Kennard and a little bit of Keaton Wallace. Everybody else did kind of their normal parts offensively, I would say, to different degrees. As we'll get into later on. Dyson Daniels, not a huge scoring game, but had 9 assists as a secondary creator in this game. B. Krejci took 12 shots, wasn't super efficient, had 14 points. Mo Gay had 12 points. Like, it was basically across the board, and then Jalen and Nickeil kind of led the way at the top of the heap offensively. On defense, they weren't special in this game, but they were more than good enough. I think the story was mostly inside the arc. The Cavs are the number 1 team in the league in taking threes, and they got up 39 in this game. That's actually a little bit less than the average, which is crazy. But they made their usual 17 threes. But the Hawks held them to sub 50% on 2-point shots. That's a huge factor. Only 46 points in the paint for Cleveland in this game. If it wasn't a Donovan Mitchell 3, there wasn't too much going on for the Cavs all the way through in crunch time, etc. The Hawks also won the turnover battle. Again, I mentioned this before, but juicing, the way you're able to run on offense, is be able to get stops on defense and also get steals and turnovers on defense. In this game, they forced 17 turnovers, and 11 of those were of the live ball steal variety. They led to 25 points off turnovers, which is a huge number in this game. And in a close back and forth game, those little margins basically told the story, I think, in this one. Like, obviously, the big headliners of Jalen's triple-double, the Hawks having the fast break points and all of that, but winning the little margins is often very important. The Hawks were able to basically be dead even in the possession game overall, despite a lack of rebounding. They do have some defensive rebounding issues that still plague them in this game. They gave up 14 offensive rebounds to the Cavs team that's not going to be killing you in that area too often, but they were able to overcome that because they were able to get to the line and run and run and run and run some more. So again, that's basically, they held Mitchell to 40. Sorry, they didn't hold Mitchell. Mitchell to 42 points. That's a lot. But everybody else, Mobley was fine. Hunter did a little bit in his return to Atlanta, but it wasn't anybody else that was dynamic for the Cavs in this game, and they were able to kind of hold serve as a result of that. And it wasn't perfect. Like, the good thing about this game is that sometimes everything goes your way and you win a game. That kind of happened to the Wizards on Tuesday when they were the underdogs. The Hawks were terrible, all those things. This one wasn't that. Like, the Hawks are not better than the Cavs right now, and particularly without Trey Porzingis. They're not better than the Cavs on the whole, I wouldn't think. But tonight they were the better team. They just played better than the Cavs did. And that's a good sign overall. The Hawks, again, erasing that bad taste from Tuesday, getting back to 12-8 on the season. 60% winning percentage is what you want to have. That's like a 50-ish win pace right now the Hawks are on. And when you factor in that Trey's missed 14 and a half games, that's a heck of a place to be. They have a tough back-to-back on Sunday and Monday we'll talk about later on, but a good win on this Friday. It would have been nice for it to matter for the NBA Cup. Yes, they gave that away on Tuesday. That's the one downside of this. If you care about that event, they gave that away in a big-time fashion on Tuesday. But they played sport of the Cavs. They kept the Cavs out of the NBA Cup quarterfinals. And big picture, just a heck of a win at home on this Friday evening. All right, more to come in a second when it comes to how this game unfolded, my analysis throughout the game, how things kind of flipped back and forth, a lot of big runs in this one, who excelled, who didn't, and much more. And we'll get into all that and more in just one moment. The NBA is rocking and rolling right now, and the best place to get into the mix is FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you actually missed the start of the game, perhaps, or you just want to ride the hot hand during the game, they have live bets at FanDuel, everything you can possibly imagine, including which team is going to score next, comebacks in the fourth quarter, and much more. Plus, you can buy live bets together if you want to into a single parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. On top of that, they have all kinds of bet types you can think of, from point spreads to over-unders, money lines, player props, game props, future bets, and so much more. And they cover all the sports you love as well at FanDuel. That, of course, includes the NBA, which we talk about all the time on this podcast. Plus, they have football, NFL, college football, etc. They have college basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, tennis, NASCAR, F1, boxing, MMA, and so many more. Plus, FanDuel is really easy to use and a fast to pay out when you win at FanDuel as well. Keep every single game more exciting, especially when your team is actually making that big comeback at the end of the game. And right now, if you're a new customer at FanDuel, you get $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel. So the place to go right now is FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Have your health or family needs changed lately? Georgia's got you covered. Georgia Access is our state's marketplace for Georgians to compare, apply, and enroll in health insurance plans that offer the best value for their individual needs. Open enrollment is happening now. Visit georgiaaccess.gov today. That's georgiaaccess.gov. Georgia Access, health insurance for Georgia by Georgia. All right, I want to encourage you right now to make Locked On Hawks your first listen each and every day. Check out the show, subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And please do me a favor and tell your friends about the show as well. I very much appreciate it. And we'll dive in now to how this game kind of unfolded. And a long time ago, it felt like this. By the way, this is a very, very long basketball game because of all these delays and shot clock malfunctions and reviews and all kinds. It was a marathon of a game on a Friday night. But the Hawks were down 7-0. And to begin the game, they had 3 turnovers, and they were 0 for 4 from the floor in the first 3 minutes of the game. That was not the way they wanted to start this one, I can promise you that. Also, they had fouls on both Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the first minute. That's a tough matchup to have that kind of foul trouble with those guys playing against Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Fortunately, it's sort of evened out after that. And the only guy in foul trouble for the Hawks in this game on the whole was Okongwu, who almost fouled out at the end of the game. But regardless, once the Hawks woke up, though, it was pretty good. They had a 21-4 run in the first quarter. They went from going scoreless on their first 7 possessions to scoring on 5 straight. And all told, they made 8 of their next 9 shots and had 1 turnover. So as I said before, when they stopped turning the ball over, things went pretty well offensively in this one. At the mid-quarter break, there was actually a tribute video for DeAndre Hunter, old friend, who played in State Farm Arena as a visiting player for the first time. He never came back to the Hawks last year. The Cavs never played in Atlanta. And of course, if you need a reminder, Hunter played his first 5.5 seasons with the Hawks. So a nice warm reception for him. He had a little bit of a dust up later on with Mo Gay, but Hunter came back for the first time. We wanted to note that. But the Cavs couldn't make a shot early in this game. They were 5 of 19 from the floor and 1 of 6 from 3. And that helped the Hawks to score 14 of their first 27 points on fast breaks. That was a big part of the Hawks having their season high and like decade high in fast break points. They were doing that early and often in this one. Rotationally, I'd like to give you a look at what the Hawks did if you are new to the podcast. And it was a little bit different because of the Porzingis scratch. So Porzingis was not on the injury report originally, but he was added as questionable on Friday afternoon and then ruled out with illness. All kinds of questions came in, as I'm not surprised, and I understand for sure about what kind of illness it is. I can't answer that. I don't know the answer to that. He does have POTS, the syndrome that we talked about a lot this summer, which Fred Katz wrote about for The Athletic. If you want to find more about that, they're managing that all the time. It could be related to that. I don't know for sure that it is. Could be different. But anytime there's illness involved with Porzingis, kind of the antenna goes up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's going to impact him moving forward. I saw some frustrating messages from people like, guys, he wants to play. I promise you he wants to play. He obviously just wasn't well enough to play in this game. It is his 8th missed game in the first 20. 3 of those, I will say, were planned rests on back-to-back. So he's only missed 5 games for illness or injury. I would project he misses at least one of the next 2 as well, as they play back-to-back Sunday and Monday. But I don't know anything else beyond that. He didn't play today. Illness was the listing, and that's kind of a catch-all. It could be, again, related to Potts, could be related to something else. We just don't know, but he was out for this game, as was Trey Young, of course. So it led to Mo Gay being the first sub and the third big off the floor. Actually, the Hawks only played 3 bigs in this game. It was only Okongwu, Jalen, and Mo. Nobody else got in. No Asa Newell in this one. By the way, Asa played in the G League yesterday, which Wednesday, which was good to see, just for some minutes for him. Kennard and Krejci both came in, as you would expect. They did actually, I thought they were going to go with an 8-man rotation. in this game because they went deep into the second quarter without playing Keaton Wallace for more than 25 seconds. But then he played a couple times, kind of a strange deployment for Keaton in this game, I thought. But anyway, it was 9 guys that played, and it was the 9 that you would have guessed in this one. The Hawks are up by 10. So after the 7-0 start, they rebounded perfectly and had a 10-point lead. They made 13 of the next 20 shots. They had 16 fast break points, which is the most of any quarter of the season for the Hawks, as on their way to 36 for the game. I mentioned the dust up earlier on. Hunter dunked over Mo Gay and then stared down and kind of jawed at Mo as they changed ends, and Mo kind of shoved him to the floor, and they reviewed the play. They were called for a double foul, and then Mo got a technical foul, kind of a soft technical. I got it though. Once he fell down to the ground, it was like, all right, he's gonna get probably something there, and no really harm done necessarily. But the entire first half was basically a tale of runs. The Cavs went on a 14-0 run as the Hawks were up by 13. They went away entirely, like right away. The Hawks missed their first 7 shots of the quarter. After that, Veet kind of made a couple of big shots that I thought to kind of stabilize things. The Cavs scored 20 points in about 4 minutes early in the second quarter. It was a 27-7 overall run by Cleveland. The Hawks did kind of get back into it after that with some good aggression from Jalen and also Nickeil. It was tight back and forth from that point forward. The Hawks didn't make a ton of threes in this game, but they did make 6 in the second quarter alone, which was massive, I thought, in this one. The only real, it was kind of an odd box score game, especially in the first half. Basically, it was dead even almost everywhere, except for the 2-point shooting for the Hawks was good, and the 3-point shooting for the Cavs was good. Everything else was basically right down the middle. But I thought Alexander Walker was huge, 15 points in the first half. He was a big-time factor there. There was a clock malfunction during halftime that delayed the start of the third quarter, and they went without some of the shot clocks in the second half. Again, a marathon night at the office. The game went well past 10 p.m., which is crazy, without overtime, alas. The Hawks had another big run early in the third quarter, 16-4. Nickeil had 6 straight points that were huge, and then Risacher got involved as well. The Hawks were, again, running some more. I like that they ran an inbounds play for Risacher to get a 3 after he passed on a few shots earlier on. As I'll talk about later, I thought Zach should have played more in this game, but I thought he played well and probably should have, been featured more often. But at least they ran some stuff for him in the second half of this one. They did use the Wallace, Kennard, Krejci lineup that I do not understand twice in the second half. Now, it was only for about a total of 2 minutes, but they lost both stints, and I don't really understand the deployment on either of them. Just something I'm never going to get that Quinn's been doing. It definitely hurt them a little bit in this one. And Atlanta did go into the fourth quarter up by 7 after a 37-point third quarter. Offensively, it was probably their best period overall. They were 11 of 13 on twos, and they got to the line 9 times. That was impressive and comprehensive. In the fourth, they struggled defensively, I thought, at the early part of the fourth quarter. The Cavs had 13 points in like 2 minutes. They got a couple of big shots from Veet, Krejci, and Luke Kennard to kind of stave them off a little bit. But then Veet had a memorably bad fast break. My old friend Josh Lane, who coined the Marvin scale, was trying to put that one on there. Veet just blew a fast break badly. It led to a bucket for the Cavs as well. That was a big notable swing. And a game, if they had lost it, I'm going to circle that even more. But they won, so there you go. Out of a timeout, though, they had a nice stretch by Dyson Daniels, who had a bucket, and then a nice outlet pass to Veet Krejci for a dunk. Quinn had a good challenge, I thought, actually, on Onyeka's 5th foul with 8 minutes to go. He didn't win it, but I didn't hate the challenge. It was a reasonable one. The call was, I thought, wrong, but I wasn't shocked that it wasn't overturned, because it's like whatever the call on the floor is gets a little bit of precedent on that front. Again, inexplicably, they went to that Wallace, Kennard, Krejci lineup. It didn't last very long, but it was part of a 10-0 run by Cleveland to go from the Hawks winning to now suddenly trailing mid-fourth quarter. The Hawks had an 8-point lead that went away in like 2 minutes, basically. Okongwu had a big shot in the middle of the quarter to kind of tie the game. They were down by 3 with 4 minutes to go, and they came back with the starters in full, which is the right decision, I thought. Risacher, I thought, sat way too long. They scored the next 8 points to go up by 5 with 2:40 to go. But then the Cavs then counter right back in a game that was certainly known for its on-brand, like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth runs everywhere. It never stopped in this game. The Cavs scored 4 straight times to tie the game. Then a big swing happened. Fortunately, didn't hurt the Hawks in the end. But Nickeil seemingly drew a 3-shot foul with 1:23 to go. The Cavs then challenged it and won the challenge, and it became a jump ball. Mind you, this is a tie game at this point with a minute and a half to go, and it was seemingly going to be 3 free throws for Nickeil. The Cavs won the challenge. It was that hand-to-hand, high five contact rule. It might have been adjudicated right, but just one of those frustrating plays. It's like, it looks like a foul to me. They called it a foul on the floor, overturned it. Frustrating for sure. Fortunately, Okongwu wins the jump ball after a dead ball jump ball, which, by the way, a huge one with 1:23 to go. Like, you don't want to have a high leverage jump ball if you can help it. But they got one, they win it, and then Risacher hits a massive shot, the biggest shot of the game. It's tied with 1:20 to go, and he hits a three to give the Hawks a 3-point lead. That was a massive shot for a young guy who has not played a ton of closing minutes this season. Hasn't played enough of them, in my opinion. That was a big shot. Then Mitchell missed one. So right after Risacher hits one, Mitchell misses one, their star player, and then Nickeil hits one to go up by 6 points with 100 minutes to go. So the game was basically right there. Tie game, win a jump ball, three, miss three by Cleveland, three by Nickeil, and suddenly the Hawks are like a 90% plus favorite within 30 seconds, if that. It didn't end the game. Like, it wasn't over, but certainly that was the death blow for the Cavs. The game was never close again. It was a 7-point game again after that because Jalen missed a free throw. But the Cavs, I don't believe scored. Yeah, the Cavs didn't score in the last 136 of the game. I think they went 0 for 4 possession-wise, maybe 0 for 5 at the end of the game. So that was the swing. But again, I will say it was very, very on brand. This game came down to a couple of runs here and there at the end of the game. And the Hawks had the right side of it at the end of this one. Again, huge shot by Zaccharie Risacher at a big time, and that was I'm sure good for his confidence as he's had kind of a slow start coming back from the injury. All right, more to come in a second when it comes to how the player evaluations went in this game, plus a look ahead at what's to come and a Trey Young potential reevaluation in the coming days. We'll get into all that and more in just one moment. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has the perfect way to keep your fans in the bag all season long. Whether watching for highlights, watching your fantasy teams, or just keeping an eye on your favorite players, DoorDash makes every single game night even better for you. And DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're also celebrating right now with something called the Bag Drop. Every time a player in the NBA has 50 points or more in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking about player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you'll actually want to have. And with DoorDash, I love that it's not just food as well. You can get everything you want, from snacks to drinks to headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered directly to you. And DoorDash has you covered all the time with late night highlights, last minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. The next time actually 50 points or more in the NBA, use promo code NBA50 on the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day, up to a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. All right, and real quickly before I talk about the player evaluations from the Cavs game tonight, it's now been 4 weeks since the Hawks announced the 4-week reevaluation timetable for Trey Young. And Trey was on the court before the game tonight taking some shots, not running, just taking some shots. And that prompted another rash of questions, which I totally understand. The exact 4-week mark for Trey's reevaluation from the Hawks announcement 4 weeks ago is Saturday. That does not mean the Hawks will definitely announce an update on Saturday. I asked about this today, and I was told something will be coming soon, but not specifically on Saturday. So keep an eye on that. Also, it's an evaluation, not a return. We'll see. They're not bound to buy legal stuff to announce something tomorrow. I think something will be coming up at some point relatively soon on an update front. So we'll see if it's more of a punt to the future or if Trey's going to get closer and closer. I don't think it'll be out for too much longer, but we don't really know. So that's the question. If I had a better answer, I'd definitely report it. I don't have one right now, but Trey could be back sometime in the near future, but we do not know at this point as I'm recording this on Friday night. All right, back to the game itself. 9 guys appeared for the Hawks in this one. Everyone that was active played, other than Asa Newell and Jacob Toppin in this game. Keaton Wallace played the least, played 9 minutes, did not score, 2 assists, 0-1 from the floor, -7. Keaton being -7 in a 7-point win in 9 minutes is not his fault. I don't think he was individually bad. I thought, and I would say optimistic that they would not play him in this game. I think it would have been a good night to play at 8-man rotation, and they were kind of going towards that. When you have Kennard, V, Dyson, and Nickeil, you probably didn't need to play Keaton in this game. And also the way he was deployed was kind of odd. It was a weird time. He was in the game with 6 minutes to go. I don't really get that. But Keaton individually was not the problem. It just was a little bit of a strange situation. But I also understand not want to play 8 guys and not press minutes too much at this point. Luke Kennard had kind of a rough one. 3 points, -7, 2 assists. Defensively, I think he struggled in this one, even more so than normal. Did make one big three in the third quarter, but was not his best night at the office. And I think he justifiably played the second least of anybody, only ahead of Keaton. Vit Krejci, 21 minutes, 14 points, 3 assists. In contrast to when I was frustrated the other day by Vit playing so much in a game where he just didn't shoot, didn't really have an impact, he took 12 shots in 21 minutes, including 9 threes. Like, I'm fine. If Vit gets shots up, it makes total sense to me for him to play this kind of amount. Defensively, he does struggle sometimes, but he did have 2 steals in this game. It was 2 of 3 on 2s, 3 of 9 from 3. Like, played fine. I don't think he was a problem. I think Zach should have played a little bit more than he did, but that's not directly on Vit, who I thought was okay. Moge had kind of an interesting game. He had 10 points in the first quarter and then 2 points the rest of the game, ended up with 12 on 7 shots, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. I thought Mo was not his absolute best defensively in this one. Like, usually he's a game wrecker. He was totally fine there, to be clear, but it wasn't like he was just dominating. And the Hawks were also minus 15 with him on the floor. That wasn't on Mo, I don't think. Some of the 2 big lineups didn't work very well in this one by the numbers, but I don't really hate that at all. I thought Mo was fine. I don't think he had a great game, but he certainly was active early in the game, which definitely helped the Hawks to get going after the slow start. To the starters, Zaccharie Risacher, 27 minutes, 14 points on 6 shots from the field. He was 3 of 3 on 2s, 2 of 3 from 3, got the line twice, made both, 3 rebounds and an assist. Zach should have played more. I think Zach, it's underrated, and I will actually shout out my good friend David Lee for pointing this out quite a bit, even in the last couple of days. Zach's value as a transition player is massive, and it's not always him finishing. It's the fact that he is always busting it down the floor, and he finds the right lane. And on a night when the Hawks have 36 fast break points, part of that is Zach. And I think he's a real factor, whether he's the one scoring them or not. He is a weapon there. He was plus 16 in this game. I thought he played really well. I was glad he closed the game. If he didn't, I would have been frustrated beyond belief because he earned it in this game, played well. Not a huge 30-point game or anything like that, but I thought Zach, it was a nice step forward for him. And now back-to-back games where he actually scored effectively for the Hawks. The other 4 guys, the key kind of core 4 right now that are available, were all good to varying degrees. So I'll go with Dyson next. Dyson had 10 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, plus 10. Now, there were still some moments where he was passing up shots and kind of muddying up the offense a little bit. I'm going to keep saying that until it stops happening. Dyson's never been a great shooter by any means, but he still needs to take more shots. That's been a theme the last couple of weeks. It's still a theme now. He's got to shoot. But he did play well otherwise. He managed to kind of play off things. Again, the 9 assists, played up well, played good defense. I thought Dyson had a fine game if he needs to shoot more. Let's just say that. Okongwu, 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. He continues to be really, really good. Like, Okongwu is playing at a top 15 center in the league kind of level. He's been playing really well all year long. It's really a luxury to have a guy like Okongwu to be your starting center when Porzingis misses games. Like that's been a theme since the summer. Like, the Hawks have 2 starting centers, and they do. Okongwu is a full-blown, all capital letters, starting good center, and he showed it again in this game. I thought he was better than Mobley. I thought he was better than Allen, so that's nice to see. Certainly better than Allen. I don't know about Mobley, but I mean, close enough. He definitely outdueled Allen in a big way in this game. So shouts to Okongwu. He's been playing great. Nickeil has been awesome again. The Hawks, actually, during this podcast, looks like there's been a correction potentially on his numbers in this one. The NBA box score I'm looking at right now has him for 30 points. It was 28 a minute ago, so maybe it'll change back. Whether it's 28 or 30, he had a great game. He was fantastic. I wrote last week on Fansided that I think Nickeil has been the best free agent signing in the entire league last summer, and I stand by that. I think he's been tremendous. I don't think he's getting enough national attention because of the way he's played so far. The scoring has just been remarkable. I was not projecting him to average 20 points a game. That's basically where he is at this point. He didn't even shoot it great in this game. He was 5 of 9 on 2s, 5 of 13 from 3. That's totally fine. But 30 points on 23 shooting possessions, 24 shooting possessions, just did the job. His usage has gone up. Defensively, he's been good. Just played great again in this one. And then Jalen Johnson, 29, 12, and 12 to go along with 2 steals, plus 20 in the game, 6 of 11 on 2, 3 of 7 from 3. I think Jalen's defense still is not where I want it to be. I think Jalen's defensively, he's had too many mistakes defensively. Even in this game, for large portions, he was man, why is he not better defensively? But it's hard to complain about that when he has 29, 12, and 12. He now has 7 assists or more in 10 straight games. That's crazy, like point guard level numbers. The passing's been real. The attacking has been really, really impressive. Like he's on his way to the All-Star game. I said that before. I'll say it again now. Monster game here for Jalen. He was in control late, had 4 assists in the fourth quarter, like just was really good, making things happen, making the right play, and play a lot of minutes, but certainly earned it in this game as well. So from here, the Hawks, this is a great win. Again, I don't want to overstate it. It's only just in the way, similar to the way, to bring this full circle, the way I was trying to say on Tuesday that it was just one loss. It was a bad one, which I want to be very clear about. It was a very, very bad loss, but it's one game. This is a very, very good win. It's also one game. And not to get too high or too low is probably the way I would approach this. But it was even more important because they have a very tough back-to-back this coming weekend. So Sunday, they go to Philadelphia. And the Sixers are not a great team. They're fine. They have some talent. Tyrese Maxey has been going absolutely nuts this season, averaging 30-plus points a game. That's ridiculous. But they're okay. They're pretty good. They're not a bad team at all. And that's a road game on Sunday, so that's nothing easy. And then from there, they have a road game on Monday against Detroit. And Detroit has been the best team in the East so far. So I think they're the best team in the East overall. I don't. And they've lost 2 games in a row now after their scalding hot stretch. But that's not an easy game at all. So 2 games on the road that are not going to be easy games. So getting this win, especially after Tuesday night game, was just massive. So a tough one to come up, but Hawks can handle it, and then they come home for 2 after that, and we'll see what happens. So one more time, the NBA Cup is already over for the Hawks. That's not a concern. The Hawks will get 2 more games assigned to them in a couple of weeks. But on a night when things could have gone wrong, there were a lot of times when the rope was going a little bit the wrong way. The Hawks kept bouncing back and bouncing back and bouncing back and getting a very, very big win on a Friday night. Hopefully people were able to check this one out in the midst of all kinds of football. I know Georgia Tech was today. A lot going on, but hopefully you dialed in. If you didn't, you listen to this podcast. We are always here to cover everything for the Hawks, even if you miss things in the meantime. So please subscribe to Locked On Hawks anywhere you find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Follow the show on Twitter/X at Locked On Hawks. Follow me there at BT Rowland. Follow me on Blue Sky at BT Rowland, and follow my non-podcast coverage of the Hawks at patreon.com/BT Rowland. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Friday evening into Saturday. I'll be back after the game on Sunday evening, and we'll see you all next time.